Well, hello, everybody, and again, we welcome you to this segment of Empowering Moments with Dr. Frankie Bell. Yours truly. And as always, I'm so excited to be in your home. I'm so grateful and thankful that you allow me to come to your place and we just have a conversation with some wonderful people that I have met, have grown to love and inspire me. And I meet these people and I love the stories that they have, so I bring them to you. And I'm so excited today to have my friend. She is a sweetheart, very driven woman of God by the name of Tabitha Vasilas, and I'm just so happy to have her here. We're going to allow her to introduce herself and tell the people. First of all, welcome, Tabitha. We're so honored to have you here. Why would you agree to do this segment with me?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think it's important just to encourage people and try to inspire and empower people and understand through my story, through our own personal stories, that it is possible to choose to win.
Yes, and I know your story, and I'm excited about it. One thing I'm so excited about or impressed by is because I have a son who plays basketball, and I was sharing a little bit about you with him, and he was impressed as well. Tell us a little bit about what you did in your previous days.
Well, I did play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing in 8th grade and eventually ended up at Clemson University on a full scholarship.
Yes, ma'am. So you go Google that. She was good too. And so I appreciate that. I love the fact that, and I always talk about how athletics play a role in our circumstances. I don't think we realize it when we're athletes, but the discipline that we have from being athletes, I think rolls over into our everyday life. That's why athletes graduate high school. It's a discipline. So you say you started playing in the 8th grade. Were you tall? How tall were you in the 8th grade?
Oh, no, I was average. I don't even know what I was in the 8th grade, but average. Just to give some perspective, at Clemson, I was the second shortest. I'm 5'6",
right.
And so the point guard was 5'5". My teammates were 6 foot, 6'3", 6'5", 6'6". So I was below average when it comes to basketball.
Well, supernatural apparently, because that is a sport that only a few get to go on a college level. So I'm very impressed by that. 8th grade, did you play for the middle school team in the 8th grade?
Varsity high school.
Well, let's go back. So when you tried out, because when you're in the 8th grade, you've probably already played a year before, because you usually tried in the 7th grade.
Well, I did try out in the 7th grade. My dad actually gave me my first basketball when I was 6 or 7. Didn't have a basketball goal. I would just go outside, dribble, and hone in on that skill, and then I just fell in love with it at a young age. And so 7th grade, I got the opportunity to go try out for the JV team, and after 2 days, I got scared and went home.
You went home, just a typical 7th grader though, but you just say, hey, I ain't doing this.
Right,
and so
it was very intimidating. And so I went back 8th grade, and really eager. At that point, I'd played middle school ball, like homeroom basketball.
Right.
So I developed some confidence, and the coaches had encouraged me to come back and try out. And so I went in 8th grade, and I was trying out for JV, and the varsity coach called me over to the sidelines and said, hey, I want you to go over there with the varsity team. And I said, no, sir. And he said, well, go home then.
Love it. So, of course, I know this story, and I need the readers to know that it's the reason why I brought it in the way I did, because your whole story centers around making tough decisions.
Yes.
Your story centers around wanting to give up, making a choice, and at the end, you realize, or maybe God or Jesus realized for us what has to be made.
Yes.
At that moment, it was your coach. He saw what you didn't see.
Yes.
And just like with us, that is so good. Like sometimes we think we're supposed to go on this path and we'll say, well, no, God, I ain't doing that. And he's like, well, then go on, I don't need you.
That's right.
And so that's pretty much what your coach was saying. So your whole life has kind of paralleled into that?
Well, and my life the parallel has been just these faith moves that God's brought me on these pivotal moments where I've had to make really big faith decisions time and time again. And each time it's strengthened my faith. Every time that I've been faithful to do so, then my faith just gotten stronger.
I love what you said. You said I went home in the 7th grade, but I developed some confidence. So in the 8th grade, I was all right there. I was going to be the JV now. Don't be trying to push me over there. And then it took a little nudge from something to say, no, I need you here. Great story. You're the Youth for Christ director here in Auburn.
I am.
I met you, was very fascinated about how you love to empower children, how you don't come off the wall like a Nehemiah, so to speak. No matter what the circumstances is, you're going to stick to the script of the Bible, and that's amazing because so many times we divert from that. But I love the way when I met you, that was your message. You're in Auburn, Alabama from Clemson. Wow. What in the world brought you to good old Auburn?
God. Okay. It was another one of those moments where it's really a long story, but in a nutshell, it was not on my bucket list to be here. I actually prayed for the Lord to send me to Alabama, but Birmingham.
Right.
And never once. I said, but one place I don't want to go is Auburn, Alabama. So anyway, through a series of events, God put it in my spirit to move to Auburn, and that was back in 2016. And I began to pursue, is this really what God's leading me to do? And it was like just the Red Sea parted, and so much confirmation and affirmation in the decision, and moved here scared out of my mind.
You moved here by yourself?
By myself with my daughter.
Your daughter, Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that name. That's my sister's name. Everybody knows how special that name is to me. So you and Angela here, she's about 7 at this time when y'all move here.
Yes.
She's 7 years old.
Yes.
Oh, so you was Clemson, working up there. Where were you?
Well, I was actually working in Orangeburg, South Carolina at a children's home. I was the campus administrator of a children's home there.
Gotcha. So you just up one day and say, hey, let's move to Auburn. Angela, you just packed her up and say, hey, this is God? Or how did those events happen?
Well, so you got to back up a little bit.
Okay.
You have to back up to May of 2015 when I got an email out of the blue from a guy that I actually went to school with in high school but hadn't heard from in 17 years.
Right.
He found me on social media and sent me a message via my work, and long story short, asked if he could call me. Next day he did call me, asked me out on a date, and then began a pursuit to marry me.
Oh wow, love it.
Fast forward 10 months, we got married Easter weekend, March 26, 2016. It was a beautiful wedding, very spirit-filled wedding, whisked off to a 3-week honeymoon, Australia, New Zealand, Tahiti. He is a doctor. He actually sold his practice and sold his home. He lived 3 hours away, so when we got married, he obviously sold all that, was called into ministry to join me in ministry. It was our intention to stay there.
Right.
But then the Lord began to really unravel us in that and unsettle us and call us, what appeared at that time, to start a journey together somewhere else. You know, just start fresh as a newly married couple.
Newlyweds, new baby.
Right.
Well, she's older now, but you got Angela, if I can recall, when she was 4.
Right.
You adopted her. Sweet little girl. I met her. She's beautiful too. Very reserved and passionate, so you can tell she has a lot of love. You can kind of tell. I've worked with kids, so I kind of know she's very loved. So kudos to you. So y'all got married?
We got married.
Went to the honeymoon.
Oh,
honey, let's talk about that.
Oh, it was amazing.
And then God called y'all.
And then He calls us to Auburn, Alabama. So we came here in June 2016 to sign a lease for a year, paid 6 months up front. Went back to South Carolina to wrap up some things. 2 weeks after we had signed the lease, my husband went to the bank and took money and disappeared.
So let me recap. Miss Clemson, superstar. Because, let's just be honest, when you're in college basketball or any athletic sport in college and in high school, you're well known. You know, you get a little name for yourself, and I did look you up. You were pretty good. went on the journey of helping kids, like you're still doing now, and we'll talk a little more about that at the end. But met this high school person again, pursued you. You get married. God is calling you all both into ministry. You bringing your family here because that's how it works. You're ready to move, get this home. In 2 weeks, he says what?
Well,
that God didn't call me. What?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Right.
It was the most painful experience of my life. Extremely hard. I had to make a choice, choose to win, to give up. Everything in me wanted to just go crawl in a closet and let my parents take care of my child and just really die.
So God didn't even just let you move to Auburn. He allowed you to move to Auburn and empower children. So here we are with someone who has been broken as much as you have. I'm pretty sure it caught you by surprise. But then you're led, as you're doing now, to lead broken children. Because let's just be honest. You adopted this baby. You just told me before we came on camera that you've been certified to be a foster care mother. And I often look up to, and I told you this, I think, before we came on, I probably would have qualified for foster care. It's just back then, you know, people didn't just tell everything. And I'm not ashamed of my past, and I love my parents, but it's just the truth. So I can imagine being a foster care mother. So you're still called to do that in this journey. Husband leaves you, you're here devastated, don't want to mom your baby, want to just crawl up and die. And that's how it feels.
Yes.
The rejection is so harsh and so painful. How did it make you feel as a person and as a woman?
Ooh, we don't got time for that. So, oh my goodness. The devil came after my identity in many ways.
Right.
You know, one thing I'm labeled as, which just a little sidebar, I really don't like, but as a strong, independent woman. Because of the implications and what people mean when they say that. And so, of course, there were accusations like, well, no wonder he left. He couldn't put up with, she's too independent.
Look at Satan.
She's, right? She's too strong, she's too opinionated, fill in the blank. I mean, it was just awful. And so my identity, and I questioned so many times, what did I do? Is it me? Just countless questions for a very, very long time of just really wrestling with why and how could something like this happen.
I met you shortly after I transitioned different jobs, and so I get what you're saying. And somebody's here watching who's going through situations where other people are in control of that situation, and it has them guessing who they are. I can remember getting on stage, getting ready to minister or preach or do a conference, and because it was put in my spirit that I'm too domineering in a room, like you take a room over. I mean, and you know what I found? The most people that said that, or you use too many words, or you talk too much, are the people who are afraid to speak.
Yes.
People who are confident, and y'all need to understand this, if you're always judging someone else's confidence, it's because you lack confidence. And so instead of, like when I met you, we hit it off. I was intrigued by your story. Like we even said that you said y'all woke up that morning and he said, I think I'm about to leave you. And you was like trying to process that. And somebody that's here with us in this meeting was like, say what now? So what was your reaction?
Pretty much the same.
Say what you say now?
I was, just can you unpack that for me? It's coming from someone who cooked me breakfast every morning, wrote me love letters, sent me bouquets of roses every week, from the time he started pursuing me until the day before he left me. And so it didn't make sense. I couldn't connect the dots of all these wonderful things he said to me and about me and things he did for me to where he was in that moment talking about leaving me, and then actually doing it, with no explanation, with no closure.
And took all that money too, right?
Took money, yep.
Wow. And so
left me to move to a new place, didn't have a job, didn't know anybody, had no support, and I had to make the hardest decision. Do I trust God? Or do I just crawl in a hole? And I knew enough about the Lord to know that even though my husband abandoned me, deserted me, and rejected me, that's not God's character. And God doesn't make mistakes.
Right.
God's not going to leave me. And if He said do it, He's already gone before me. And so I had to muster up, and all I had, maybe even not even a mustard seed of faith, I had to muster that up and just say, I trust you, and I'm going to go, and I know you're going to work it out.
Love it. So the people that watch this show are looking for inspiration, and I love it. They need to know, I need to know, when something happens to you like that, whether we want to admit it or not, it changes you.
Yes.
We can either let it keep us changed or allow God to change us back to who we were before these things happened. Again, I remember, and I even deal with that now. I'm sure, like in relationships, God is going to bless you with a husband, and maybe that's why this closure has to happen. When it's time for you, He doesn't want us to bring all that.
Right.
He wants us to be like we talked about before, like Paul. That was our motto. You told me that in a moment ago. Like when he got on the island and he got bit by that serpent, and the people were judging him and saying he must have done something. Like she must have done something. Frankie must have done something. They sit and they watch and they wonder, what is it that you've done? And then when you sit and you trust God, and then you have peace with God, and you just shake it off like He did, then they turn around and say, oh, it wasn't her. She's a good person. She's with Youth for Christ. She's taking care of those babies. Do I trust God? Oh man, that is so powerful. Because we trust money, we trust friends, we trust jobs, we trust all of that. It's just like when you go sit in a chair, we didn't expect this chair not to hold us up.
Right.
Because it's tangible. And it's within our control. We feel something. Well, sometimes God don't worry about being felt. He just wants you to trust Him. So you trust Him, you move here. Apparently you're working here. I love Youth for Christ, Auburn. Love it. You're the director here. What kind of things do y'all do here at Youth for Christ?
Well, our mission is to raise up lifelong followers of Jesus, essentially, and our target is the unchurched, lost youth. So
we ain't worried about it. You can speak in tongues and all that. You ain't got to have a prerequisite to come.
No. Do you breathe and do you love Jesus? All right, you
That's
just sign up.
And even if you don't, we're going to teach you how to love it. So that's outstanding. Let's talk about, you have Angela, and I met another sweet little baby when I came in here. What's her name?
Well, I can't share her name.
That's correct. I forgot.
Right now.
You can't share, but maybe in the future we'll come back and we'll talk about her.
Yes.
There was another young baby that I know has joined you, and I asked her, I said, you love your new home? I do. She's excited. You're giving her a chance. You're giving her an opportunity. You're giving her you. You're giving her the choice. She's going to win. She gave me a picture. I must be special. I don't know why kids love me. She's like, here's my picture. I drew this picture for you. And so you're giving her an opportunity to be successful, even through all your pain. And I don't want people to get it twisted. When you lose things that you think are important to you, that Jesus don't necessarily think they're important. It's just a place to get you to the next level. Had He not emailed you, had He not done what He did, you wouldn't be here making the impact that you have. And then that baby that just gave me that picture wouldn't have the chance that you're about to give her. See, God is so amazing how He sets us up.
Well, ironically, the scripture my husband used to propose to me was Romans 8:28.
All things.
God makes all things. And then I had to cling to that scripture through this season of healing and devastation, And we wouldn't need that promise if it was good things.
Don't I know it, honey?
So it's the all, meaning the
awful. That's right,
awful things that he's gonna make it for those who love Him,
right,
and are called according to His purpose. And I clung to that, and I believed in that. And my prayer was, God, if this isn't true, kill me now. Just take me home, because this pain and this suffering is not worth it. It is too much for me to carry. I needed God to literally be the breath in my lungs for a very long time, because it hurt to get up, it hurt to move every day, and it hurt to breathe.
But you chose to win.
But I chose.
It's a decision, isn't it?
Yes.
Winning is a decision. And I think people need to realize we don't just wake up winners.
Right.
It's a process.
And we don't feel like.
No.
Mm-mm.
Every day,
Mm-mm.
you still have those times when you remember what happened to me.
Yes.
And you want to lash out, and you want to say something that is not of Jesus. But then we have to remember we got to hang to what he says.
Right.
He said, if you trust me, I'll take care of it. And then I think we be wanting to go and beat him up or something, but that ain't his plan.
We'll save that for off air.
But so, Youth for Christ, what kind of things can we do to help you in the community?
Oh, wow. Well, we definitely need teams of people. We need leaders. We need boots on the ground, hands and feet. There are over 40,000 teenagers, 11 to 19, in our East Alabama area. Statistically, less than 40, maybe less than 30% of families attend a church, have any affiliation with any faith at all. So there's definitely a need, and that's because of that. What we're seeing play out in our society are the mental health issues on the rise, increase, as young as 5-year-olds, talking about killing themselves.
Right.
Unanimously, when we talk to administrators and we ask, how can we serve you, they beg us for mental health services, So there's definitely a need for loving adults to come into authentic Christ-sharing relationships with lost kids.
And what I want the people to hear, that you're not trying to get them to join a church, you're not
Right.
trying to do any of that, you're just trying to give them love, because that's what Jesus is. Love is the answer. That's my motto, no matter the question. We're just trying to love you at Youth for Christ.
Right.
So volunteers, what's the address here, or how could they get in touch with this?
They can get in touch with us at YFC at InsideYFC.com. Our address is 1400 North College Street, Auburn, Alabama. And we are in 6 different counties. So we cover Lee, Chambers, Russell, Tallapoosa, Macon, and Randolph County.
Volunteer.
Now. So volunteer.
Yeah.
We definitely need funding.
Yes.
We can't do what we do without support.
Y'all hear that? We need some Jesus, but we need some money too. So
Yes.
some of y'all out here who watching this, we need your donation. We're going to take your money, because the kids need the snacks. So I love it. Because I walked in here.
They need a little bit more than snacks, but
I know I saw a whole snack table over there. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate you being very honest. Love the fact that you played ball. Because I was a cheerleader when it was a sport. And I say that because we had to roughhouse it back in the day. And don't worry about how long ago that was. But I enjoyed going to games. I enjoyed cheering for my team. My sister played basketball. She was a basketball player, and I always used to watch her just be magnificent on the court. So I know what it takes. She used to chew gum. She was a point guard. I forgot to ask you, what was your position?
a shooter. I don't pass. I'm a black hole.
She was their point guard, and I still remember her, and it's been almost 27 years since she passed, but I remember her chewing that gum and bouncing that ball. And so I am just intrigued by the fact that you use that discipline to help you get to this place, because discipline is not a punishment, it is training.
That's right.
And so because you were disciplined, and because you knew part of me want to die, or part of me want to go home and not be on that team, Jesus told you, no, you're going to go over here. And we're going to do it this way. Something you said to me was very profound. You said you saw where God had you here. But as you look back in hindsight, you never saw him. And sometimes don't we overlook the signs?
Obvious, right, in plain sight, yes.
Right. So I tell you what, Tab is what your coach used to call you. I love that. I'm excited about you becoming a foster mom. We need so many more foster moms.
Yes.
Now, listen, I love kids. They just ain't my anointing. I love it. But we are proud and super proud to know you. I'm excited about the change and the chance that you're giving these kids, the babies you're about to go pick up. You take it from someone who was displaced as a child. they'll never forget it. Thank you all so much. Any closing remarks before we go? Anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you for the opportunity. God is faithful. He
Yes,
is good.
is.
He just always wants the opportunity to show his faithfulness. We just have to give him the chance to be who he is.
We got to trust him. Isn't that what you
Yes,
said?
yes.
Thank you so very much for watching. Be on the lookout. She's doing great things. Youth for Christ, 40%, no affiliation. See how you can get involved. Everybody can do something. We may not can do everything, but we can do something. As always, I sign off with this. When you're hit with the hard things and the hard decision, you always know what I say. When you need to make a decision, make sure it's the decision and choose to win. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Thank you.
Multiple fractures, what we refer to as segmental fractures, could have led to brain amputation.